Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Executive Vice President, Sales and Marketing, Steve Owen.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. You're looking a bit nervous, you guys. So, good morning. Welcome to NXP FTF, where inspiration and design connect, where secure connections for a smarter world begin. This is where the unexpected insight changes the game for your team's project, where a face-to-face meeting, and we've had quite a few in the last 24 hours already, leads to an exciting new product and a valued partnership or a clear vision of your industry. We've got a great lineup for you this week, from our Day 2 keynote with Nicholas Negroponte, beg your pardon, and today's very special guest speaker on security, Dr. Whitfield Duffy. I'm looking forward to that. We've created 350 hours of training, more than 250 product and technology demos, and 180 demos on our Smarter World Tour semi-truck. At the center of it all, it's all about you. It's all about the questions you have, the trends that are thinking through in your mind, and the roadblocks you face in those technical challenges you have, and what's on the way. It's our sincere hope that when you leave Austin with more than great classes, lots of conversation, cool demos, and a smartphone full of photos, it's not Vegas, you can take them. We want you to leave with a dose of inspiration because you live in an era where others have only dreamed about with the technology we have available to us and read about in science fiction novels. As an industry, we're on the verge of big things changing on a par with the Industrial Revolution. We'll talk about that a little bit later. This is how we must think because we're in the spotlight to deliver. This world now is making demands on our industry with a long list of challenges they're convinced can be changed with technology. The expectations are really high, both in terms of what technology should achieve and be capable of achieving, as well as how fast it can be available. We're all frustrated in terms of the amount of time this takes to get products out to market and bring new technology. IoT is one of these, we all know. These expectations are firmly set in the imaginations of a new generation. They're convinced, our children and the new engineers that are joining our companies are convinced that if they can download or stream a song in seconds, video chat 24/7 with their friends, pay for groceries with a smartphone, and have their dry cleaning eventually delivered by drones, why the hell do you have to wait in line in immigration? Why can't I just go through in seconds? They worry about their security. They don't want to worry about that security, and they worry about whether they're getting their car information and personal information hacked. People want technology solutions to problems large and small. The good news is there are plenty of things for us to be busy with and get working on immediately. Take our world cities, for example. Cities are built for the benefit of human synergy. They can deliver the basics easily, water, healthcare, and education. But as city populations get bigger, and this is a city, one of the fastest growing cities in the US, the complexities and the problems get bigger. Today's problem is around population density, traffic congestion, public safety, and air pollution are all part of that city's image today. Austin has a traffic situation. Los Angeles has smog. Beijing's got both. We've seen it all on the TV. We have to solve these problems. The transport of citizens, efficient street lighting, and the effective management of HVAC systems all require innovation. That's you guys. Cities need to be a lot smarter, and the IoT technology, the technology that you work on every day, will make the difference. As vehicles become more autonomous, they're also becoming part of an integrated and networked world where the vehicles, the city, the infrastructure, road signs, traffic signals, all communicate and work together in an intricate dance of efficiency and fluid motion. We want cars to move through the cities without hitting a light, but without hitting another car. These advances promise to reduce accidents and make traffic flows a lot smoother. On the medical front, chronic illnesses such as diabetes, heart disease, and other menacing diseases like cancer are taking a toll on our resources and the world. Healthcare is becoming more personalized. as well as an integral part of the connected world. Your diagnostic data now, and we'll show a little bit about this later, your diagnostic data can be collected and analyzed for your personal insight, even as it's being communicated in real time to physicians who analyze it to understand more about the afflictions of our age. Some groundbreaking companies are even asking if medications can be tailored to suit the individual, to suit your personal needs. All of this is made possible by connections. As we become more connected, our world grows more dependent than ever on security. Massive amounts of data, from simple machine language to financial transactions to the most sensitive government secrets, all travel over networks, as we know. So we've moved from a number of different ages or eras. The Industrial Revolution, which centered on a massive shift of population from the land to the cities. Why did that happen in the beginning? It was people were in search of a better life, where you have more control over when they eat, where they live. In the 20th century, this changed again. And in the late 20th century, we created highly efficient computers and machines that enabled us to complete tasks much faster. We were able to have products and devices that enhanced our working and personal lives. Now, we're in the era of data. With highly connected societies, the flow of data and the ability to understand the needs of consumers and citizens, us, governments are able to, with the work from companies, able to tailor products to provide you with the services and the support that you think you need and you definitely do need. We can connect 24/7 today, but our machines and devices are not so connected that they're completely synchronized to enable this. This will be our job. We'll get a lot done this week, but we want to continue that in future. This will be our job to provide and bring the meaning to the connectivity and the services on offer to ensure that the data that is collected is targeted to what you need. Consortiums, companies, and governments are able to do this efficiently, not individuals. When we're able to answer the question of why do consumers need these connected devices, companies will be eager to build them so that the next era of connected devices and data will be on us that much faster. For example, if the electronic connected assistant picks up your list of to-dos and actions them while you move on to something else that you see as more meaningful, that requires your full attention, and if it works smoothly with no hiccups and it's affordable, then this is adding value and meaning to our lives. The big but today in the world of the connected world is how do we protect the data, the privacy, and commerce from the criminals and other cyber foes out there? This question and the way that we collectively answer it will be among the most critical issues of our lives. This was what was on our mind when we distilled a vision of what you'd need to build solutions for tomorrow, but do it now. At the core of all these efforts require a type of development agility, one that allows a rapid flow through initial design, prototyping, and production, along with the flexibility to adjust over the course of time. That translates to an absolute need for the reduction of complexity and a melding of different yet related technologies. We merged with Freescale because we believe the technologies we both possessed individually enhance the other's offerings, and together comprise the IoT infrastructure of tomorrow. Our new supercharged portfolio spans security, automotive, networking products, linking into the IoT area. We've got identity and RFID and general-purpose microcontrollers, a huge portfolio. Over time, you'll find unexpected synergies from NXP as the portfolio benefits from a centralized vision. The combined technologies will become even more powerful as developers begin to understand the benefits of creating freely, knowing that all of their design needs can be met in one place seamlessly. Why deal with 5 semiconductor companies? Come on, guys. 5 procurement processes, 5 sales engineers driving you crazy. We can concentrate all that on one single company, one single project. Why wait to see if a part can be retrofitted or redesigned for your application when you can have exactly what you need from one company with a proven existing portfolio that's ready for you to acquire? Combined, NXP and Freescale have created the #1 automotive technology provider. We estimate that every single car has around 100 NXP processors inside. This is critical because, in many ways, the modern automobile is the ultimate IoT end node. We're #1 in high-power RF and the wireless communication market, where every conversation passes through at least one of our networking processors. 90% of the world's mobile phones feature NXP standard products. Our chips provide security for 80%, a little bit more, actually, of the world's e-passports. And Freescale's networking security innovations, combined with the fact that NXP has been securing payment transactions since the emergence of online payments, is really compelling for engineers who have no longer the time to think about security in terms of special networks with varying levels of protection. One solution. NXP was also the co-creator of near-field communication technology, NFC. This changed the transport market in really powerful ways, and it continues to change and transform the way we manage the thousands of contact points we have in our daily lives. So the strengths of NXP today are many, but we understand that there's far more work to be done. Far more challenges to address real-world problems that we have to solve. Of those challenges, perhaps none poses a greater threat to our vision of a smarter, connected world than security. The message we're hearing today is that the security of the data and the connected world is even more of a collaborative responsibility than you might have realized. Many of the things that Dr. Diffie is mentioning there is it requires you to think a little bit differently about the way you build a system. It can be one system on one network, but you need to think really differently to make sure that the transactions that take place don't get interfered by other systems and solutions. So the collaboration of that sort begins with the many design engineers and the innovators with us here today. So again, thank you for joining us. We talked earlier about the recent merger with Freescale Semiconductor and how it has prepared us to address, as a company, the key design challenges many of you are facing in your day-to-day work. Our newly expanded product portfolio is allowing us to better serve those requirements from a complete solution perspective. And what we've heard here in the last few minutes tells us that there might be many different components from solution to solution. And among them is the critical need for security. You may or may not know that NXP has held a long-held reputation for security in industry, long before the merger with Freescale, which also made its own significant investments into security over many decades, making our leadership in this area much stronger. To talk to you about that leadership and the ground upon which it was built, I'd like to introduce the NXP CEO and my boss, Rick Clemmer.
Hi, Rick. Thanks, Steve. Good morning, y'all. Want to be sure that you have a good Texas welcome. So one of the things that's really exciting for us is the combination of NXP and Freescale. As you've heard from Steve, the ability to bring two great companies with a long legacy together to be able to provide solutions for you guys and your customers that no other company can do. No other company has the bandwidth in the portfolio to be able to do that. So it's really exciting for us to be able to offer you a solution and various solutions to be able to meet your requirements that give you a competitive advantage, either in performance, time to market, cost, or whatever it is that allows you to win in the marketplace. So at this time, it's really an exciting time in the electronics industry. It's projected that 80% of the world's economic value will come from improvements in devices and technologies that already exist today. It really means that improving these devices and the fundamental infrastructure by enabling them to talk to each other, having connected devices that do a better job than what they do today. We have to make them more functional in terms of applications and services they provide. We also have to, as you've seen this morning, ensure that we make them more resistant to cyber attack so that our data and personal information are protected and safe. NXP's secure element technology is an example of our deep knowledge of security issues, including banking, government documents, and it's the foundation of the domain expertise in addressing these challenges. A secure element is a tamper-resistant platform, a secure microcontroller capable of securely hosting applications along with their confidential and encrypted data. If you have a bank card with you today with a chip in it, there's a great chance that it comes from NXP. And in fact, if you come from China and carry a more advanced card that's contactless, it's almost guaranteed to be NXP. Let's hear from one of our customers about how the technology is working for them.
In 2013, MasterCard recognized an opportunity to really secure the transition to digital, to make sure that we would do it in a very safe, secure, and scalable way, in a way that would be friendly to the consumer and that wouldn't put too much burden on the merchant. And so we developed a standard for tokenization, where we came up with a way to basically securely put your card credentials onto a mobile phone. What we do is we put what's called a token, not a real card, a token and associated secure cryptography, like a one-time use code, onto the mobile phone that allows you to make a transaction really secure. We knew all along that we were also going to be provisioning tokens to things like jewelry, fitness bands, clothing, smartwatches, things like that consumers already find accessible and useful, for other things in their daily lives. And how do we do this? By making it really simple and easy for other kinds of device manufacturers to plug in to our existing platform that makes credentials so that they can access securely these same tokens that we're provisioning into mobile applications. And NXP has been a key partner in helping us really simplify this process. Beginning in the 90s, we recognized our customers were facing the problem of consumer data being stolen at the point of sale. And so NXP developed secure chip card technology, which basically became the foundation for secure payments today on plastic cards. When we were moving into the commerce for every device, and digital payments worlds, it was really important to us that we ensured that those transactions were at least as secure as the most secure plastic card transaction. So we knew that we could trust NXP to help us make every device into a commerce device a reality. NXP has been a trusted partner of MasterCard's for a really long time, and we will continue to rely on NXP to make sure that we're up to date and have access to the very best innovations in security.
So just a good example. But one of the most important implementations of our embedded secure element came in the form of electronic passports. Our SmartMX family for electronic ID documents combines over 100 security features in its system architecture and is used by 87 of the 103 countries currently using electronic passports. Our highly secure microcontroller platform improves the level of security at border controls, providing greater security against counterfeiting and fraud. Through the transfer, speed allows more rapid processing of transactions, allowing you to get through the lines faster. Our flagship SmartMX family enables both contact and contactless applications, and it is in use today by governments for the banking industry, for electronic passports, personal identification, bank cards, and more. Now you would think, and you'd be right, that the standards for the security in these environments are among the most rigorous in the world. Protecting and safeguarding our financial data is extremely important to each of us. To shine a bit more light on the topic, I'd like to invite Jack Janica, the Senior Vice President of Strategic Partnerships of Secure Transactions at Gemalto, a key customer, to join us for a few minutes. How you doing, Grant? We talked a little bit about contact and contactless payments this morning. Can you talk about your partnership with NXP and how that business is progressing?
I'd love to, and I'm very happy to be here to actually talk about our relationship, because our relationship, our technical relationship, actually predates our existing companies and goes back to the foundation of smart cards over 20 years ago. We have worked on mobile applications for SIM cards, transport, government, network security, as well as now we're working on things like wearables and contactless. And it's been a very fruitful technical exchange between our companies over the decades. And Gemalto delivers 2 billion secure products every year, and 1 billion of those products historically have come from NXP.
That's great. How do the standards for security and payments differ from other industries?
Actually, if you look at the mobile industry and you look at the payment industry specifically, there are a lot of similarities. I mean, both of them are based on cryptographic codes that are sent back. They're numerical schemes. But the key differences between, say, a mobile authentication where you turn your phone on, you have to authenticate to the network once during your session of the day, for example. Payment is a little bit different because you have to authenticate the transaction every time you make a payment. So it has unique requirements specifically in speed of the transaction, where things like contactless, which we're working on together, actually help the speed of the transaction, but also has another unique requirement that it has to also have the capability to authenticate when you don't have access to the network. They call this offline authentication, which the payment application requires. And one good example of that is using the new open loop payment contactless products that you and I are working on in a transit application where you're underground in the subway, and you have to have a quick authentication to get through the turnstile.
Perfect. We talked yesterday briefly about tethered identity. Can you explain that concept?
Okay, so in a transaction where you bring actually your identity to a transaction, this is a new concept when we talk about the Internet of Things and M2M. Mobile-to-mobile devices. And a car, for example, is now going to be able to be used to pay for gasoline at the pump from inside your car. But that makes sense to put your credential inside your car that you own, but what about the rental car? So a tethered identity is where you bring your identity to the appliance that we're going to use. And I'm looking at an automobile as an appliance, but as we move forward, it could be your refrigerator, it could be a vending machine to where you're bringing your identity, and you'll have to authenticate yourself to that appliance as well as then to conduct a transaction, as an example.
Perfect. How do you see the market evolving as we go forward?
I see the market adding payment. You're seeing convergence of payment into everything we do. Okay, this concept of open loop payments, so you don't have to have a special ticket. You can actually use one payment device of your choice and either put it on your mobile phone, have it in your card, or even on a wearable. And another trend is also in emerging markets like the third world, where they're talking about financial inclusion, where you're actually including a government identity product along with a payment application all on the same card, and that could be a mobile device, it can be a wearable or a card form factor. So you're actually seeing payment and identity converging in multiple verticals throughout the industry.
Absolutely. So we have a number of design engineers in the room today. What would you say to them as they think about evolving security further in their products and their solutions as they bring those to market?
I would say if you're working on a consumer device, okay, designing in edge-based security hardware should be a key consideration. Because if you look at all of the breaches that have happened over the last couple of years, they're all targeting the network. So if your application is only relying on the network cloud for security, you should probably rethink that design and also add a physical edge security, a secure element in your design.
Thanks. I'd like to thank you today for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we also appreciate the business and partnership.
This is my pleasure. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. The fact is that given enough time and determination, everything is ultimately hackable. To fight this reality, we work hard to stay one step ahead of the latest thinking and techniques and deliver on our unwavering commitment to provide the best way for security solutions and the best solutions in the world. We're guided by a complete 7-point design philosophy that includes, among other core principles, security features that are transparent to the end user based on the latest security research and upgradable in the field so that updates or responses to attacks are easier and less costly to implement. We also submit our product designs to third-party test houses who are given full access to our designs and test them completely for any weakness. This is in addition to our own in-house security evaluation program. Once we built it, our team of security engineers do the best they can to break it. So the end product we deliver is even more secure. We also work with white hat hackers to test robustness of our solutions and resistance to attack. So we've developed a strong system of checks and balances in our quest for true security leadership. And it's reflected in the results that we see today, both inside the company and in the marketplace. Today, NXP owns about 1,700 patents for security technology, and we continue to develop solutions for encryption, biometrics, and secure elements. These are the key foundation and underpinnings of our security leadership, but there's a lot more work to do. A hacker needs only to find one. To discuss how NXP is extending its security expertise into other connected solutions, please welcome back Steve Owen.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you. Thanks, Rick. Our merger with Freescale could not have come at a better time. Our deep experience in satisfying some of the most rigorous and stringent security requirements in the world is fortified by Freescale's hardware and software security expertise. Today, NXP secures more types of end equipment than any other company on the planet. And this is critical as the universe of secure connected solutions expands at an ever-increasing rate. NXP's approach to connected solutions is really simple: to bring about technology, innovations that make our lives simpler, safer, and healthier. Now, this seems pretty straightforward. And you could argue that many of the products we've seen over the last few years are designed to just do that. But ask yourself, in your life at the moment, technology has made you safer, improved your health, or simplified the way you live today. We've got many fitness trackers, steppers, with point solutions that manage the temperature and lighting inside our homes. But are our lives meaningfully changed? And in actuality, aren't we increasingly less safe, as we heard earlier, with the security attacks on all the networks and the ability to secure the whole network? We believe the answers to these questions are driving the next wave of connected solutions innovation. Consider that a product is no longer connected, is just a product, but part of a service, where the potential for real economical and social change is highest. Design engineers and you guys in this room need to think beyond just the silicon and software to bring services that enhance the customer, the consumer, our experience, and create new and ongoing revenue streams, which then builds on. In short, the opportunities for meaningful innovations that truly make our lives simpler, safer, and healthier now have the potential to be realized. This really best manifests itself in the context of smart cities. Unprecedented urban growth is introducing challenges for all our cities from both a social and economic standpoint. United Nations predicts that nearly 70% of the world's population will live in urban environments by 2050. 70%. Technology is already playing an important role in green initiatives that enhance the quality of life and creating the infrastructure improvements that will reduce traffic, congestion, and the associated air pollution that goes with that. The role of technology will only increase as cities continue to grow, as they are. For NXP, this is the essence of making life simpler, healthier, and safer for the broadest population we can. The smart cities of tomorrow are really wide with lots of possibilities. To drive home the point, we've invited Smart Cities visionary Dr. Mitchell Joachim to join us today and share his ideas for how the city of tomorrow could evolve.
Super, thanks for the introduction. It's great. Great. Okay, I'm really glad to be here. I guess I'm going to show some work that I was a part of at MIT working on future cars. So in this video, which we'll play in a moment, we're looking at a vehicle that was actually designed to fit cities. Because the entire 20th century, cities were designed around the automobile, especially in America. But here in the United States, we decided that we could change that or reverse that kind of condition and design a car to fit cities themselves. So this is a vehicle, wherever it might be, that actually is designed as a mobility or technology to fit the cities that makes sense for these super dense environments. So the frame articulates and stands up, reducing its footprint by 33%. The entire vehicle itself is actually inside the wheels. Drivetrain, suspension, motoring, a modicum of intelligence is all inside that car. They actually interlock when they park, so you could put about 300 of these things on a New York City block as opposed to 30 some odd SUVs. So it's a very different kind of vehicle. And I think we've looked at vehicles as a way of engaging cities themselves. So this next slide here is actually looking at what the smart city might be. Because that's a term that I feel like is, you ask 10 people what it means, you're going to get 10 different answers. So here at Terraform 1 in Brooklyn, New York, we think about smart cities all the time. And we think it's a kind of a composition between engaging the environment and engaging information networks simultaneously. So here's a section of New York, a street that's been retrofitted to be super salubrious, to consider all types of things for the health of the planet and for the health of people. And it's a productive green space, so it deals with waste, food, water, energy, mobility, etc. So we have vertical access wind turbines on top of our street lights. We've got solar panels all over the rooftops. There's 3,000 acres of unshaded roof space in New York, so there's massive opportunity there. There's vertical gardens and all different types of automated systems to harvest greens that are needed locally. We can certainly have farms on the outside. And there's a riparian corridor through the center, getting rid of these shiny, clunky metal boxes we call cars, replacing them with light rail, and instituting all types of ecological moments in our cities. This next project is also thinking at, there we go, is admitting that we've been thinking about future cities and smart cities for a very long time. Here in King's Dream of New York, we're thinking about this kind of hyper-dense environment where dirigibles would dock into skyscraper ports on their terminus. We'd have canyonnated systems of mobility between horses and carriages and parking. We'd have bridged skyscraper clusters linking one skyscraper to the next. We'd also have thoughts about bridges themselves actually would be housing. So mobility and housing would be simultaneously considered the city. Here, this project by Raymond Hood. And then all of these bridges linking between the different boroughs. At certain critical points, we'd have maximal clusters of skyscrapers to these bridge systems that are both mobility and housing all the time. And then later on in the 60s, we'd get to something like Motopia. And here's a thought of reversing the figure ground of our cities. This is taking where buildings used to be and replacing them with parkland and green space. And then where the streets are, adding in a new type of building system that has mobility on the upper surfaces in the topology, while the rest of the kind of the city is open and free and is all about the green space, especially for air quality conditions. And then here, looking at linear city models. These are ideas about actually building on top of the Lower Manhattan Expressway, but any condition where you think of a very dense environment here on inclined planes to get the most amount of solar gain. You'd have in the center mobility systems that are monorail based and then autonomous vehicles underneath. And this would move throughout our city streets and take up all of the airspace and then eventually get into those denser clusters in between. So these are things that you just can't deny. And then future visions of cities that are still around today, like Minority Report with Tom Cruise and Spielberg, which was another MIT project. Here we have things called transelevators. These are elevators that kind of scoop up the sides of buildings and bring you directly into your apartment. Or omnidirectional maglev vehicles that spin on a dime or twist and that move on these kind of strip-like surfaces that go almost against the realm of gravity. And we've been working on these projects trying to make them a reality. So here's some of those designs, but also other concepts to be as green as possible, because if we can do a lot of tech, what would be the maximum version that considers the ecology? So here's a suburb model that is essentially a housing system called the Fab Trehab, where there is no distinction between landscape and building. In fact, the building itself is the landscape. This is made out of all different types of woody plant matter that's grown with CNC scaffolding. The the woody plants are trained in the scaffolding and then it's removed. It takes about 8 to 10 years to grow, something like this, but you could have thousands of people fitting into an environment in these homes that are essentially contributing to dealing with our carbon and pollution problems. And a lot of people say, well, this is going to just take too long to do something like this. Well, you know, if we can wait 10 years for a bottle of scotch, I think we can create villages in 5 to 10 years that actually make sense for the environment. And this is the problem. This is the American value system, which I believe in. I should be able to eat anything I want without consequence, drive the biggest possible vehicle because they're cool, despite whatever energy needs it has, and then live in the biggest possible home because, you know, it's my right as an American. So overdevelopment is some of the issues that we constantly fight against. And we do that as a kind of a conversation between propaganda and real off-the-shelf technology. And then there's some very real concerns also about the issues of movement in cities and some of the big problems which I would consider actually being dumb or not informed. So on the bottom of this chart right there, you'll see that 20 to 45% of energy is being wasted in circuity. Circuity means an 18-wheeler in Texas missing an off-ramp and having to travel another 20 minutes back to get onto that same direction it was on before, or moving around and just looking for parking. So most of our energy is being wasted doing dumb things. We have to stop this. So here's another version of one of these future cities that we had done. This is looking at all different types of mobility technologies, both freight and passenger, that move throughout our cities for various purposes. Here in Dubai, actually the jetpack system was implemented for emergency and for fire purposes. We're actually thinking that in the long term, it might be used for just regular mobility. Also looking at new types of dirigibles that have a logic and fit into city streets. And thinking about skinning the architecture and changing the topology to be as green as possible, with window systems that would absorb solar income and generate energy, or turbines that are integrated into our towers. And then thinking of the materials of a lot of these vehicles themselves. Why, since Henry Ford, have we been using nothing but sheet metal, or basically any type of metal, for our cars? We thought of all different types of materials in the actual vehicles that move around in our cities. So here is yet another version of one of these cars at MIT. I think I did about 40 of them before I left. This is an omnidirectional vehicle. It spins on a dime. It can go anywhere you want. It's super easy to parallel park in a car like this. I think my mother could do it with her eyes closed. Of course, these things would be computationally driven, attached to a municipal grid, so they'd let you know where they're up to. Or the material of the vehicle could be something like e-ink, where it's completely solid, but wherever the driver looks, it has a point of aperture. Or it could be completely transparent and serve as a visor and tracks the sun and blocks your glare. This is kind of the goal that we're going for, the footprint of a smart car. So this is about 86 inches in length. Here's one of the vehicles we designed, the same footprint, but remember, this car stands up, so it's even smaller than a Smart. It actually interlocks with all the other vehicles and parks in these stations alongside streets. It harvests energy from renewables. And this is where we also thought this is not about just mobility in cities, but it actually becomes a smarter city because it's rethinking energy. These are very big batteries on wheels. They can absorb peak demand and redistribute charge on the fly. So it can go over those antiquated electrical grids and replace them using that mobility technology. And here, doing it for different locales. This is in Shanghai, adding vehicles into dedicated pathways where they can also park or stack directly on the street, and they don't need to move super fast, but they get people where they need to go. Of course, transportation and pedestrians, public transportation and walking in cities is probably one of the best forms you could have, but people still demand autonomous vehicles. Then separating freight from passenger, where they can go up rails, just like in that Minority Report system, so these vehicles hug rails and drive themselves upwards. They can attach to skins of buildings and deliver freight or vehicles directly into people's apartments or offices. And then thinking of those new materials for vehicle design. So another sponsor that we had at MIT was Reebok, and we thought, we're going to make cars super soft. Why don't we look at shoe technology? So here is what we call the shoe car. It's kind of meant for scuffability. It hits other cars and gently rubs up against them. It's very sexy because it's got a zipper to get in and out of that vehicle. And then cars that are using malleable and slightly transparent materials that become a kind of a genie-like rug that float on these omnidirectional wheels that are talking to one another. And the car can completely fold up and be as soft as possible and be parked. I think 90% of the time, 89 to 90% of the time, vehicles are not moving. So we have to consider storage and parking as the primary design signature when one approaches vehicle design. And this version is thinking about vehicles that are so soft that everything inside them is essentially pneumatics or made of air. So they're air bladders with an ETFE foil quilt systems. So the car is super soft, introducing the hug and kiss Lamb car. Doesn't need to move faster than 30 miles an hour, but it moves in these intelligent omnidirectional flocks and herds of cars. You can bump up against somebody else, and it's okay. You can look them in the eye and say ciao and continue reading your book as you move through city streets. We call this gentle congestion. It's kind of the point, especially if we're expecting double the amount of cars in the next 20 years. You move in these flocks and herds. So how do you phase them? Well, you can imagine these super soft, intelligent, omnidirectional cars moving in clusters. When they find a Hummer, they surround it and push it off the side of the road as they take over the streets. And then thinking about different blimps that move in smart cities. So here's a fantasy of having the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade every single day in New York. It takes about 40 to 50 men, well, no, more like 12 or 15 guys to hold down a balloon of Spider-Man or Homer Simpson. Why not turn that into a slow-moving mobility system as what we call a blimp bumper bus that moves throughout New York City? You kind of hop on, hop off, just like a ski lift. It goes down these direct arteries and doesn't ever have to touch or interface with the ground. And then all of these things become this kind of culture of soft vehicles and smart dots. The street itself also needs to feedback, also needs to give information to the vehicles that move on it, and also needs to recognize that pedestrians and bicyclists are a phenomenal way to explore and move around cities, and that they should be protected as they do that. So here's a system of all those different smart dots that would have embedded color LEDs inside the asphalt and signal to pedestrians or bicyclists what those vehicles are doing if they, for some reason, aren't connected to that grid. Because we have to recognize that not everyone is going to be wired. And then thinking about human power. Everything doesn't have to be battery-based. We have legs, and it's healthy to move our body. So here is recumbent bikes on artery systems with fairings that move down something like Broadway, et cetera, and you hop on, hop off this thing. Or that was a quick example of something called Schweeb. That's one of them that's been built with the two girls inside there. They're just pedaling away on the rail system. It's really great. And then thinking about your commute every day. This is the human-powered river gym for New York City. So you join a gym, but on your way to work between locker room to locker room from Brooklyn to Manhattan, you actually work out. And as you work out, that power is captured, absorbed, and trickled down into the drivetrain and is used to propel the boat as you get to the other side. Now, some people may choose to work out. Others may just choose to sit there and create more weight as people do more work to get there, but they're happy they're burning more calories, I guess. And then jetpacks. So jetpacks seem to be something from Buck Rogers. They've been around forever. Some of the things that we've done with jetpacks is think about an articulated shell that protects you from the weather, or looking at systems that are about 2 passengers and some kind of freight for your laptop or some luggage that you would carry. And then you would move from something like Brooklyn to downtown Manhattan to Wall Street, wherever you are, in about 3 minutes to 7 minutes maximum. And then you'd unzip and get out of your jetpack. And inside the crotch area, in case all hell breaks loose, there's a parachute that will open up and save you. And then, the reality is you can buy one of these things. There's a Martin jetpack. We've been modifying it for some time. It's about $120,000, $130,000. It's fairly safe, and like I said, they actually are functioning in Dubai for emergency work and fire. They can also move in clusters and be pulled by a tug, so they can go from Boston to New York, and they don't have to generate any power. And then if you're not interested in using something like a jetpack, you can be a part of one of my favorite sports called cluster ballooning. It's definitely old school tech, but it certainly works, and you could float the same way. The control systems are not as good. And finally, the last 2 things I'm going to show is the idea of rethinking the suburbs and the city itself so that we can match this kind of economy of the internet. Everything seems to be moving and constantly flowing, yet architecture itself or our homes are very static. So what if we thought about linear cities that are constantly on the move, and your house could sort of stand up and go and be someplace for a certain period of time? For instance, here would be a home coming into the village, and this would essentially be your in-laws visiting you for a week or so, and then when things get rough, they can drive off, and that's okay. And they have their own home and their own toilet and shower, et cetera, and it's all right. And then thinking about the biggest possible SUV to do this. So we had imagined that, well, we call these the Palin SUV or Palins, and the thought here is to achieve peak oil overnight by using so much energy that we'll have to move into a new economy that's electric-based and thinks about the future of our environment. So here is the suburbs all constantly moving between these very large SUVs, switching out onto these arteries or the American highway system, which is a phenomenal piece of technology. It's a grand infrastructure created by Eisenhower. And here we're thinking of all of our streams of waste, food, water, and energy contiguously linked and high-speed train between city center to city center, and then having the right or the ability to move in your home from place to place. So you can hang out in, I don't know, wherever you want, in Chicago and do some real work, and then you go to Florida, wear a bathing suit all day, and then you get tired because there's no libraries, and then you can go back up north again. Wherever you would like to live, we want to try to match that with the internet economy. So here's some of the images of this. There will be some stable structures alongside these linear cities where all of our kind of energy systems are stored and food systems are stored. You'd be able to move in these homes. Here they are moving near geothermal and biomass systems and wind. You would have a new type of concept for a house party or concept of neighbors, because when you get together, you can do whatever you want for 24 hours, and then at like 3 in the morning the next day, you could drive off and they can never see you again. And over here, this is a project also thinking about organic farming for people in Connecticut, just for people in Connecticut. And then the last project we're showing is that this is a mobile system that's called the Urban Farm Pod, or the Mobile Urban Farm Pod. And this is where you would grow your food inside one of our systems. It's a cabin that has 9 irrigation columns that links to a cistern on the base and a pump on the top. It's got sensors that tell you the health of your plants, tells them their pH, the coloration, whether they're ripe. You get to grow your own food and then eventually eat it, and you have a kind of a miniature farm inside your urban space. And we think that connecting to plants into our smart city and having some level of communication with them is super important. So that's just some of our work. Thank you very much for listening, and come to Brooklyn if you want. We're Terraform One. Thanks very much.
So the concept of cars sharing information and working together is called Cooperative Intelligent Transportation System, or CITS. When you think about the things that Mitch is just mentioning and the way that we need to think about cities for the future and maybe not so far off, this is really going to be important as we look at how we transform cities towards autonomous driving. Beyond reducing traffic congestion and its environmental impact, CITS can reduce the number of lethal accidents. What Mitch mentioned again was, we maybe have something simple solution in future, but we're not there yet. Existing city infrastructure like traffic signal lights and electric and telecommunications utility poles are the excellent foundations for low data rate mesh networks that enable CITS. And NXP innovations like V2X, MyFair, and NFC offer smart and secure platforms on which to build. For a while now, NXP has partnered with Siemens to deploy specialized roadside units into transportation infrastructure like overhead signage and traffic lights, enabling secure transmission of important driver information to passing vehicles. Siemens was recently chosen by the US Department of Transport for a new connected vehicle pilot project which will explore deployment of the technology into real-world situations. Today, we've invited Marcus Weltz, CEO of Siemens Intelligent Traffic Systems in North America, to join us and discuss how Siemens is working to make our city streets and the vehicles that travel them safer than ever before. Please welcome Marcus Weltz.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Hi, Marcus. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Marcus, you're the head of the Siemens ITS group, which focuses on intelligent traffic systems. So how do you see these systems playing a role in today's transportation sector?
Well, it is always exciting for me when I get the opportunity to talk about innovation. And I believe there is no other industry which is embracing technology and innovation more than the transportation sector. And although we have heard so many exciting things about New York just in the last presentation, for me personally, there is no better place to be in talking about innovation and the next mobility revolution than here in Austin, since I'm based here in Austin. So the challenge we have in the transportation sector are huge. To put in simple terms, they are one of mathematics. Last year, US car owner bought 42% more cars than they scrapped. The number of registered cars in the US marked an all-time high of 258 million cars, and the car density is expected to increase by a factor of 1.5 until 2030. Let's have a look on safety. There are more than 33,000 people dying on US roads every year. This is unbelievable, and actually, that's not acceptable. And it won't get any better if we look on congestion. An average American spends 1 week of a year stuck in a traffic jam, and the average commute in the past 10 years has almost doubled. So now the good news is that, let's say, we have solutions to solve that gridlock already today. I'll give you 2 examples. In the city of Seattle, Siemens has installed an advanced next-generation traffic management system, which is combining the various systems the city has, like freeway traffic management, urban traffic management, travel time, into one truly integrated solution where the city is able to react fast and precise on any accident and incident, and can use the road network most efficiently. In the city of Tyler in Texas, we have installed a state-of-the-art adaptive control system. With that, we have been able to reduce or to improve the travel times by 22% and reduce delays by 42%. And how do we do that magic? It's actually very simple. We make dumb traffic lights smart, and a very good message for us is that from the 370,000 signals and intersections in the US, more than 90% are still not yet on this technology, so there is huge potential yet to unleash.
Thanks. So one topic that's certainly been at the forefront of transportation technologies is connected vehicles, and definitely there was connected vehicles shown previously. Can you talk a bit about the work that Siemens is having in this space and the role that you see V2X having on the transportation industry in the US?
Yeah, what really inspires me is what will happen if cars start talking to each other and cars start talking to the infrastructure. Cars will become information prosumers and traffic data generators, heavily enriching the data available. Digitalization in transportation does not mean connecting everything with everything else. We need to come from a use case. We need to solve a very specific problem. And I give you 2 examples what we can do with connected vehicles. Imagine an application which broadcasts the signal phase and timing from a traffic light into the vehicle and gives a warning to the driver on an impending red light violation. Or think about a bus transit operator which gets a warning if a pedestrian is stepping into the intended path on a signalized crossway. So Siemens has been involved in the connected vehicle arena for almost 10 years. And now it is actually time to move these technologies from tests and pilots onto the roads of the US. Just outside, Siemens partnering with NXP, we are demonstrating connected vehicle technology in a real-world setting. There is an electronic cab which is driving through a corridor here in Austin, which is equipped with connected vehicle technology, and the car or the cab is receiving information from the infrastructure for any dangerous traffic situation, so the car can literally look around the corner.
Fantastic. So where do you see this pilot program going, and how far away from widespread implementation of V2X in our cities?
Yeah, what all these pilots and demos are certainly a very good start. I think what they are proving is that cities like Austin can lead those technologies into into a broad deployment. I think this is one of the reasons why the city of Austin is among those 7 finalists for the Smart City Challenge, which is embraced by the US DOT, providing a grant of $40 million to implement smarter technologies. And sometimes we need a little seed corn from the government to get it rolling. But once it is downhill, it will create momentum. We see that actually in Tampa, where Siemens is involved in the connected vehicle pilot of the US DOT, where we are far ahead of schedule because the technology is already able today to implement those type of use cases which will solve our traffic problems, which is very fascinating for all the engineers involved in that type of endeavor.
Marcus, I've got about 1,000 more questions for you, but I think we've run out of time at this moment. Thank you. Marcus Welts from Siemens. Thank you. So more efficient travel and reduced traffic congestion leads to faster response times for city services and emergency response. So it's not just about us as consumers going around enjoying ourselves. The city response teams need to get through those cities just the same. But technology is already driving improvements for emergency response teams personnel in other ways. Right here in Austin, the Austin Fire Department is leading the way when it comes to utilizing robotics in emergency response. And the award-winning Robotics Emergency Deployment Team, RED for short, allows robotics to play a role in search and rescue operations. The team is exploring land, maritime, and air solutions and is currently working with a drone that assists in real-time search and rescue efforts. I'd like to introduce Coit Kessler with the Austin Fire Department to discuss this innovative program.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, Coit.
It's good to see you, Steve.
How you doing? Good. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. So I've told our audience a bit about what you're doing, but can you tell us how the idea for the robotics emergency team came about and some of the things surrounding it?
I can. So this all begins with belonging to a very supportive, progressive, forward-leaning fire department. The fire service has been doing business really the same way for hundreds of years. And that's not a bad thing, but we've had technological advancements. For example, the gear that I wear. I have a coat, a jacket, the boots, the helmet, gear that really allows me to go into the fire and stay there a lot longer than I have been in the past. The air packs that we carry on our backs, they allow us to go into hazardous environments that you can't even imagine without having to worry about my personal safety. The idea of going into a fire without a radio today is something I can't even imagine. I would never go into a fire without a good communication system. And I happen to remember, I haven't been in the fire department that long, 16 years. I remember the implementation of, let me turn these off real quick. I remember the implementation of the thermal imaging cameras when they came to be. They were huge. Okay, not really that big, but they were about this big.
They were big.
Yeah, and they wanted us to carry them into fires. Nobody wanted to do that, but now they fit in the palm of our hands, and they're actually putting them into our face pieces to allow us to crawl hands-free and look for victims. It's the goal of the fire department, or the Austin Fire Department, our RED team, to take that technology and put it into the hands of firefighters and make a difference in the way we do our business.
So Mitch and I talked last night a little bit about some of my history as well as Navy firefighting, and actually some of the equipment he described, the monster things, I actually did use. The changes, though, and some of the situations that I experienced, can you explain? You've got 20,000 more examples of. Could you explain a little bit more about some of the real situations that you're facing?
I can. A story that I like to tell, it begins with where I live. It's in Bastrop, Texas. It just happens to be outside the city limits of Austin. 5 years ago, we went through a horrible fire, something very similar to what we're seeing in Canada today. Now, I'd like to take a moment and just say sincerely, my heart, my kindest thoughts are going out to our sisters and brothers in Canada. I have a very good idea of what they're experiencing, and it's horrible. 5 years ago, we lost 1,650 homes in my community. My neighborhood was completely leveled. At that time, I got lucky, but I nearly lost the lives of myself and the crew that I was with looking for some missing firefighters. Had we had the technology, had we had an unmanned aerial system flying overhead to be able to provide that data, to be able to track the missing firefighters, to be able to provide the real-time information of where that fire was moving, provide that information back to my incident commanders to let them know what was going on, it'd be a different story. But the reality is, I'm here today on this stage because of luck. That's unacceptable. Basing firefighter survivability and public safety survivability on luck, in 2016, there's no reason for it, not with everybody sitting in this audience. We can do better than that.
Really real situations. But can you tell us a little bit more now about the water and land robotics that you're using so we can understand a bit more about how these work?
Yeah, I'd like to start with the little robot here in the front. You guys can see, I'm sorry, on the other side. Does that look like something a firefighter would use? No, that's the micro-tactical ground robot. That was designed by the military to go into small holes and look for bad guys. How does that work for the fire service? Well, we send it into small holes, confined spaces, structural collapses, to look for good people, to look for victims. You can imagine the advantage of being able to put a monitor on the back end of that and run that into a hazardous material event. That's the solution for us. The boat behind it, that was born out of the Office of Naval Research. This is the Emily. It's a delivery device that allows us to take a life jacket and helmet out to somebody that's stranded in the middle of a terrible situation, like a swift water call. We can also attach a rope to the back end of it, and very quickly, I can haul this on my shoulders, throw it into the water, and get this boat to you coming down the stream or the river, allow you to give something to hang on to, and then pendulum back to the side of the bank. So these are solutions that exist there today, but they weren't exactly designed with us in mind.
Fantastic. So you know we've got a lot of technology experts here in the audience, designers today. Are there areas where you believe technology can help you do your job better, and so you're able to get more work done?
I do. I've got a couple examples, a couple gaps that we've identified. The gaps are performance and communication. And I think I'm talking to the right audience here. Performance and communication. When I was sitting behind this LED screen, I was looking down at my controller, it was going bananas. It was just going bananas with all the radio frequencies that were bouncing back and forth. Do you want me coming to you on the worst day of you can imagine with something that's going bananas? No, you want me to do this right the first time. You need the equipment to operate right the first time. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. As Steve was giving the intro, I was sweating. I was like, oh my goodness. I work in environments that you can't imagine. It's rain, it's snow, it's wind. I work in fire. This equipment has to work right the first time in order for it to be accepted by the fire service and for you to be able to want us to come to you with this equipment. That's important. Communications, that's the second piece, and I'll close with this. Communications isn't just what we're doing right now. It's not just me talking on a radio and letting you know what's going on. It's taking data. It's taking data and sending that information to the incident commanders and allowing them to make informed decisions with that information. That's a big deal. My fire chief says it really well. She says, I don't want to know where bread came from. I want toast. Toast. That means that she doesn't really care about what we do to get this to her, but she wants it to be done right the first time. Our bosses do not have time, and you personally don't have time for us to fool around with equipment that doesn't work. We have to get this right the first time. Steve, I really appreciate you allowing me the chance to address everybody. Thank you.
So just think, thanks, Cody. So just think about this, guys. You do not want to have these guys having to reboot, reset while they're coming to get you in the building.
No.
So it's a perfect opportunity for you to think about, yes, we're not talking about hundreds of millions of units. These are helping you save lives. So think about how you can help the fire department, both here in Austin and around the planet, to get technology at the right level to save lives, yours, at some point. Coy, thanks.
Hey, thank you so much, Steve.
So access to healthcare is an ongoing challenge for today's cities, and technology is leading the way in the way that we respond. Healthcare technology and innovator and NXP customer, Dictum Health, delivers advanced technology solutions for patient monitoring, care coordination, and patient engagement, including real-time data streaming and video conferencing. Dictum puts doctors and other medical staff together with their patients remotely, with the ability to capture and discuss complete vital signs and other biometric data. In the end, hospital stays and readmissions are reduced as physicians can examine and interact with their patients virtually without sacrificing any quality of care. Dictum Health recently introduced a new tablet built on NXP technology, and we've invited Dictum Health VP of Quality and Regulatory Affairs, Paul Landesman, to share it with us today. Paul.
Thank you, Steve, for the invitation. Good morning.
So I think you brought your hospital testing lab with you to share and show us, so let's jump right into that.
Okay, but first let's tell a little bit about why we developed the system. Healthcare is changing. We talked about readmission rates. We talked about the need for healthcare. The number of physicians are shrinking as our needs for healthcare increases. So we developed this medical tablet that will connect the patient and the physician. And what I like to do is bring up our very own patient, David, and our very own Dr. Jose to help out with the demo.
Good. We look forward to seeing how it works.
So as they get through, it's a balancing act to make sure we have the right device and the right tools that we could use in the doctor's office. The tablet itself is capable of doing all the vital sign and cardiopulmonary testing, ECG, spirometry, blood pressure, pulse ox, blood pressure, everything that you would see when you walk into your doctor's office or hospital, all of those panels against the wall, all wrapped up in a tiny little tablet. And we're going to go through that right now with a demo. One of the things that we talked about is virtual exams, that you can actually, as Dr. Jose is sitting in his beach, toes in the sand, he could be monitoring patients anywhere. Earlier, we talked about the security, cybersecurity. You notice on the tablet, there's a picture of the patient, David, and a picture of Jose, as a physical recognition that that connectivity is correct. So currently, right now, we're running an ECG on David.
And
it's going through well. And then also we'll be doing a pulse ox test on him. All this being live, there's no smoke and mirrors here. The tablet is communicating fully right now through the internet into Dr. Jose's laptop. Dr. Jose looks very intent on making sure that we give the right diagnosis for David. And there's his pulse ox. All of that data, again, gets transferred not only to Dr. Jose, but seamlessly gets into an EMR, the electronic medical record for that patient. And it looks like the test is done. Dr. Jose, how's our patient doing?
We have a really high rate. David, do you think there's a reason for that?
I'm not completely sure.
You're not nervous,
That has
David.
something to do with doing a wireless demo at FTF in front of a couple thousand people.
Well, at least we kept your shirt on.
Yes, yes.
Thank God. Huh? Great. So I understand that you built this using NXP technology.
Yes, the fundamental IMX6 was a great tool from our engineering team, and we want to give a little shout out to our engineering team in Portsmouth to develop the connectivity of all these devices. We have a blood pressure device with the ECG, the wireless, the operating systems all being managed by the IMX6. The system is also expandable, so it has a USB port, so if you want to plug in a medical camera or other type of technology, as well as a Bluetooth connectivity, so that if you have a Bluetooth scale or a glucose meter, all being controlled by the IMX6. We also have a K20 to help out with our spirometry test.
Fantastic. Now, I'd like to challenge all of you guys to help this company, but also for yourselves, to go out there and buy this product. because eventually to get the company big enough, then he can move the product to Europe, and actually I can buy one at that point in time. So this is a really important thing, guys. But at the same time, it's, if you think about it, in the type of world that we live, the way we work, how much time it's like, have I got time to go to the doctors? I really want, but you do, you should be. And this technology is really going to help us do that real time. I'd like to thank Paul and all the team for coming on, showing us this technology. Please connect with him afterwards. Buy one.
Buy two.
Buy one,
They're
more,
small.
whatever. Please do that. Thank you very much indeed, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. At NXP, we like to say that our networking solutions enable the internet and the Internet of Things. And it's true that none of the connected solutions we've discussed here today are successful without a dynamic and secure network behind them. A network capable of handling the intense and ever-increasing bandwidth requirements of these sophisticated applications. NXP's QRIQ networking process has set the standard for performance and security, leading the way towards the secure virtualized networks of tomorrow. A power architecture and ARM-based products unmatched in the industry, delivering highly scalable performance per watt from the most power-constrained devices to the highest performing multi-core products. We're leaders in network security, specifically with more than 30 years of combined investment and experience in secure solutions. In fact, we've sold more than 100 million networking processors with security features built in. Be it mesh networks or the coming wave of 5G, NXP delivers the networking processor performance and the power to enable the smart cities of tomorrow. So over the course of the last minutes, we've discussed the connected solutions that are shaping the future of our smart cities and smarter world. We're beginning to see the evolution of what only recently connected things, bringing it into something meaningful. Value-added services that make our lives simpler, safer, and much healthier. Communications processing, sensing, connectivity, and security are the fundamental building blocks of securely connected, smarter world. Whether for smart cities, as we demonstrated here today, or smart home, healthcare, agriculture, or many other IoT solutions you can envisage. NXP is a one-stop shop for your next IoT product design, where the key components and the necessary domain expertise for connectivity, interoperability, and most importantly, I may have mentioned it once, security, under one roof. Now, just when you thought it would not be possible to share almost every connected IoT solution imaginable, we've gone and given it our best shot. The NXP Smarter World Tour is making its next stop right here in Austin for FTF. So let's take a quick look what's inside. So the NXP Smarter World Tour is well into its second year here in the US. They still won't let me drive the truck, but since its inception, we've introduced tours both in Europe and in China. And as I mentioned, the truck is here this week in Austin. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet, I encourage you to do so. There are literally hundreds of connected solution demos on board, and you're sure to get a surge of inspiration as you pass through it. Probably you can see some products from your own companies. Perhaps no connected solution offers more reason for optimism and excitement, though, than the automobile. Today, 90% of automobile innovation comes in the form of electronics. NXP is the market leader in automotive electronics, including #1 positions in infotainment, in-vehicle networking, secure car access, and body and safety electronics. Our experience and expertise in the automotive industry and our passion for meaningful solutions that radically improve today's car push us to innovate on your behalf. But, obviously, we have still much more to do. Despite a great deal of progress in recent years, the World Health Organization reports that nearly 1.3 million fatal traffic accidents occur on our roads every year, with more than 30 million processors for advanced driver systems shipped to date. And 8 of 10 of the largest global car makers rely on them. Driver safety is a responsibility we take extremely seriously. Of those 1.3 million fatalities, 90% are caused by human error. Human error. So as we move rapidly into the era of the connected car and ultimately to the fully automated and self-driving car, the potential to save up to 1 million lives is quite real. In order to be truly automotive and self-driving, a car must be able to do 3 things: sense and communicate with its environment, think about the appropriate course of action to take, and act accordingly. NXP offers a complete system solution to include all these things. It includes radar, secure V2X, secure networking, digital signal processing, sensor fusion, powertrain, chassis, and braking technologies. Quite a bit. Of course, these connected self-driving cars must meet a higher standard of security if they're to be trusted and accepted by governments and consumers, you guys. So we take a 3-level approach to securing the full system that includes secure elements for the protection of wireless communications, secure strategic networking to protect the domain-based gateways and the network, and finally, secure processing for protection of the ECU. To dig a little deeper into the possibilities of the fully automated vehicle of the future, I'd like to welcome NXP Vice President of MCUs and Processors, Matt Joydson, to join us. Matt. Go. So this is really a printed car, 3D printed car, right?
Absolutely. So yesterday, NXP announced a full development platform for autonomous vehicles, all based on NXP silicon. This is the vehicle we put it in. This is an actual 3D printed car that is designed and developed by Local Motors in Phoenix, Arizona. They, if you're not familiar with them, they design, manufacture, and sell 3D printed cars. In fact, they'll have their first car highway approved sometime next year. And there's no better vehicle, we thought, to demonstrate how many things are changing in our industry and how much change is ahead of us in the future in the automotive space.
Fantastic. So how long did this car actually take to print? Are you aware?
Well, it's really quite amazing. This car was printed in less than 2 days.
So you can get one over the weekend, guys.
2 days.
So you've dropped in an autonomous demo platform. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, Matt?
Absolutely. So what you see on the outside is a 3D printed car. What's on the inside is a complete development platform, all based on NXP silicon. And I'll walk you through what that is. So first of all, you have cameras all the way around that are based on NXP processors. Next, you have radar all the way around the vehicle for 360 degrees, which is based on NXP radar sensors and NXP processors.
Next, you have V2X, which we heard a lot about earlier, which is critical for vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure communication. And for the V2X solution, again, NXP air interface through processing, complete solution, and that's what's contained in the vehicle. And then the LiDAR dome you see on the top is from a company called Quanergy. If you're not familiar with them, Quanergy is really innovating in making it possible to bring LiDAR to mainstream automotive. And that processing solution is based on NXP as well. So you take all the sensing, you take the communication, and you need a way to bring it all together. And to do that, we have two NXP processors, one that is fusing the data together and creating an environmental model, and another processor that's actually doing the high-performance computing to decide what to do. And we put that inside something called the blue box.
So where does the blue box fit into all of this then, Matt?
So the blue box is a high-performance development platform for autonomous vehicles that has inside it two NXP processors. And high performance in this case is over 90,000 DMIPS. And why that's important is in the vehicle, this is where you bring all this information together and start making a map or a contextual model of what's happening outside the vehicle. And then once you get all that, you have to start making decisions on what you're going to do with that. And that's what you do in the vehicle. From a customer perspective, what's amazing is you can take this box and literally plug it into a PC and start porting your code or developing your code in this environment. And then when you're ready, you can experiment, you can design, but when you're ready, the exact same silicon that's in the box, you can take into high volume production. So it's not only a development environment, it's actually a production solution as well.
How does that then compare to other solutions that are out there in the market?
Well, so first of all, as you mentioned earlier, NXP has already shipped over 30 million ADAS processors into the marketplace. In fact, 8 of the top 10 OEMs are already using our ADAS processors. So this isn't something new for us. This is something we've already been doing. What you see here is the key, I'd say, first of all, is it's not a product and it's not only an application, it's a complete platform. A lot of times what you hear about is, here's a solution for this one piece or for this one application. And what you have here is a complete solution, literally across every ADAS node. On top of that, it's open. So you can put your code, your solution on top of this platform, and we're not trying to control your ecosystem. Another point I can't emphasize enough, but I think it's been coming up as a recurring theme today, the security, safety, and reliability. If you think about what we're trying to do, we're trying to make something that's safer. And to do that, it actually has to take over control of the vehicle. And imagine the vehicle taking over control, and think of the security implications behind that. Think of the safety implications behind that. Think of the reliability implications of not having the most robust solution possible. For us, this is what NXP does for a living. So this is a best possible solution when you take all those pieces together that are safe, secure, and reliable. The last thing I'd say is everything here is either in production already or is sampling today and ramping into production. So we're not talking about a solution that will be available 2 or 3 years from now. This is a solution that can be available in your hands today.
So this technology, how are we putting it to use at this current point in time? And as you're saying it's available today, what are we getting done out there?
Absolutely. So first of all, from a personal perspective, saving lives, right, and making mobility safer. I have 3 little kids at home, and I can't imagine anything better than having safer transportation for them. So to me, that's really meaningful. The next thing is the blue box I mentioned is already in the hands of 4 of the top 5 OEMs out there. So it's going to be really exciting to see what they do with that and where they take that moving forward. The last thing I'd say is ADAS nodes are the building blocks of safer vehicles. They're the building blocks of autonomous vehicles. And NXP provides every one of them. It's a complete solution in this space. So we're really excited to be offering this, helping drive the future moving forward together with our customers. The last thing I'd add is this car will be in the tech lab, fully operational, so you can see everything working, and I'd love to see you come by and check it out. Thank you very much.
Great. Matt, thanks very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Really great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So looking across the expanse of connected applications, the trend towards video as the preferred medium for entertainment, communication, interaction is tough to miss. In fact, Cisco estimates that in the next 3 years, nearly 90% of internet traffic will occur in the service of video. Advanced human-to-interface technology is simultaneously enhancing and simplifying the user experience for cutting-edge applications, spurring requirements for advanced graphic and display capabilities. Smarter devices that interact with humans by way of a multi-sense input, vision, touch, gesture, and natural language among them, along with the capability necessary to process it all, are increasingly in demand. These video-intensive applications are well represented in the key verticals like automotive and digital signage, factory automation, and many others. Digital signage in particular offers the promise for human-to-machine interaction with the content that's based on the profile of the user. Imagine an NFC-enabled smartphone tapped against a retail sign, allowing the content to immediately customize to the needs of the shopper. This isn't that far off. There are some systems out there already. In fact, work is already underway by more than one company to develop billboards that responds to basic demographic inputs that discern visually what's in front of them. The challenge then is how you deliver the processing power needed to deliver these rich experiences in real time without the latency issues involved in shipping all of this data up to the cloud and back again, and deciding what content needs to be delivered and how. NXP is a leader in applications processing. Our i.MX family of applications processors meet the challenges of video-intensive and HMI applications full on, in many ways going beyond the abilities of human sensors. i.MX apps processors mimic human sensors with the ability to process and identify anything in view, understand natural speech in 20 languages, determine position, direction, height, and speed, and display complex video like multi-panel 4K and teraflop 3D. Our i.MX 8 family is going to be launched this week, and it's going to be performing all of these tasks between 6 and 20 times faster than the current generation of 6 series. So we're really excited about the potential solutions and applications that are on this product and want you to get your hands on it. Choosing the right partner for your product designs has never been easier. Let's come here. From the edge node to the gateway and into the cloud, NXP's market-leading portfolio of microcontrollers, network, and applications processors lead the way. Our security and connectivity technologies, coupled with RF, analog, and sensing, complete the tools you need to deliver secure connection solutions for a smarter world. Our embedded processor portfolio is the broadest in the industry, addressing requirements of the highest levels of security and the lowest power possible. Our smallest MCU is smaller than the dimple of a golf ball to enable easy designs into healthcare, wearables, and fitness markets where small form factors are absolutely crucial. We're the leader in IoT infrastructure and the world's leading provider of embedded processors for wired and wireless applications. We're number one in RF power and a leader in smart antenna solutions for smartphone applications. So our network solution knowledge and experience is equally deep and broad. We offer connectivity solutions like NFC, which NXP co-invented and introduced, as well as other popular solutions like Zigbee and Bluetooth Low Energy. We've got them all. We know how to address your interoperability challenges. Can't say it, but we can. Our merger with Freescale has strengthened our total solutions capability in many compelling ways. Our MCU and processor portfolio is complemented by NXP technologies like USB Type-C and NFC to make us your one-stop shop for designing products for high-growth markets like automotive and USB-related power. Our redistributed chip packaging allows integration of disparate technologies in a matter of a few short weeks from design to silicon and speeds the time to market in highly competitive verticals like smart home and smart healthcare. Our Hexiware development program, developed in partnership with Microelectronica, is helping startups and makers turn their IoT ideas into marketable products faster than ever before. By the way, you can see Hexiware here in the Tech Lab all this week. Finally, as important to what is happening on chip at NXP, it's what's happening off chip. Hundreds of engineers from NXP, the partners, are focused on secure, connected solutions, from smart home to smart infrastructure, and all the points in between. NXP partners with a robust IoT ecosystem, including software, hardware, governments and institutions, startups, market makers. On behalf of everyone at NXP, I'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules this week. If we've done well, by the time you leave FTF, you'll leave us inspired. Inspired by the innovations of your peers, excited by the potential of your own creativity and expertise to deliver secure connections for a smarter world. FTF is where inspiration and design connect. Where dreams edge into reality and brand new solutions to tomorrow's challenges are born. With more than 150 technical sessions this week already started, more than 250 live demos in the Tech Lab, and another 180 on the Smarter World Tour Truck, and 72 partners and sponsors here with us, we've done our very best to make FTF 2016 the very best it can be for you. Special thanks to our platform Platinum sponsors, Arrow, Avnet, Future, and Mentor Graphics. Please make sure you go visit our sponsors in the Platinum, Gold, and Silver in the Tech Lab and on the Smarter World Tour Truck. Speaking of the truck,
everybody, just a reminder to come see the Smarter World Tour Truck out front and around the corner of the JW Marriott on 2nd and Brazos. We've got products and demos in here. We're shown to tens of thousands of engineers and programmers around the country and around the world with our trucks in Europe and China. I look forward to seeing you there.
I mentioned this truck's been touring, thank you. Ian's mentioned that this truck has been touring in the US for 2 years. In the first year, 20,000 engineers in the US visited the truck. Fantastic, right? In the first week in China, 20,000 engineers visited the truck. Some competition going on, guys, come on. So have a great time this week. The Tech Forum, the whole event is geared around what you want. We want you to spend time, connect with people, maybe even competitors, get some information, market knowledge, what's going on. Learn and enjoy and share. The only way we're going to bring some of these solutions to life is the work that you do during and after you leave here. Let's create some great designs together. So see you back here tomorrow morning for tomorrow morning's keynote with Nicholas Negroponte. Thanks a lot and have a fantastic week. Thank you.